Hello everyone. Let's imagine you've just set up your LG TV. You're just turning it on and you want to know straight away what are the best settings. Now I've got all my stuff plugged in. That's not going to make a difference yet. You've got your TV, you've turned it on, and I apologise if you can see dirt on the screen. What we can do is press the settings button here and you'll get this menu on the left corner. I would highly recommend before you do anything, and I mean anything at all, ensure that you're connected to the internet. So go to General and go down to Network, and that is where you can get connected. I personally have an Ethernet going into my TV, but you can do it through Wi-Fi. That's perfectly fine. At the moment it is on Wi-Fi because my Ethernet's not plugged in. Is support, software update, and get it updated. If there's no updates found, that's great. It's probably out of the box, got the latest update. I wouldn't recommend leaving auto update on because sometimes it can tell you to turn your TV off mid-game and stuff, and that's not ideal. Sadly, this is going to change drastically depending on what you're on. So if you go on one of the listed programs on the remote or even another application, it's going to change unless you've got it set up. And this is going to be based on HDR and Dolby Vision modes because that does change picture settings too. So what you're going to do is ignore everything here, including Game Optimizer. We're going to go up to the top where the settings are and we're just going to go straight in. Don't select a mode. So first off, you're going to go to General and you're going to check a few boxes. You can do whatever you want with these. This is mainly for people that are disabled, who have issues. If you need them, they're there. Always ready. This is entirely up to you. If you want your TV to turn on like that and it's ready to go with voice recognition, turn that on. I don't use it though, so I don't care. AI service. AI services is entirely up to you. I personally quite like the AI Picture Pro, but I would recommend turning it off. Same with AI brightness, genre selection, and everything else. I just don't recommend really having any of them on. Don't touch that yet. We'll deal with that as we get to the actual games themselves. OLED care, I highly recommend you turn mode off here. OLED panel care, screen move on. Pixel cleaning, don't do this until you've reached, I can't remember how many hours it is, but it's like 600 or 800 hours of using your OLED, then you can consider doing it. It's supposed to help with screen burn and other problems like pixel smearing and other stuff, but generally this is a very uncommon thing with the latest OLEDs, at least in my personal testing. Adjust logo brightness. Honestly, you could probably have this off, but I tend to find having it on high actually makes things a little bit brighter. It's supposed to help, especially if you're looking at something for a long period of time. Family settings, obviously, that's entirely up to you. Programs, that's again entirely up to you. External devices, so you can connect to other devices outside of your TV because it is a smart TV. Go to system and you can change everything here like language, location, timer settings, but usually these are set up at the very start when you get your TV. Energy saving mode, my God, turn this off. This is going to fuck your brightness up on your TV. Like, look at this. That is horrendous. Don't even put it on minimum. Turn it off. Auto power off. I set mine to 8 hours because I use my TV pretty much all day and I don't like it turning off at any point if I was to have it on for a while. You can literally just do this and have it off completely. But I don't recommend it just in case there's one of those times you fall asleep or there's a problem and you just forget to turn it off. Thankfully, you do have this behind the wallpaper that will automatically scroll. But again, please be careful with that. Support, everything here, memory optimizer, IP control settings, any issues you have with diagnoses, software updates, it's there. General picture quality. Aspect ratio. This one isn't going to matter right now. Leave it at 16:9. This is not going to matter until you're gaming, and I'll explain that later too. Don't touch anything here other than advanced settings. Let's go straight in. Now on brightness, set your brightness to 100. Set your contrast to around 90 or 80. Again, this is personal preference, but usually it's around 80 or 79. Some people go lower than this, but as a personal preference, leave mine on 90. Black level, leave it at 55. You can leave it at 50 if you want. I think 55 is generally pretty good overall though. Auto dynamic contrast. I don't think this does very much, at least from a visual standpoint, and I don't care, so I have that off. Peak brightness, leave that on high. If you turn it off or low or anything else, you might not end up getting the peak brightness of the TV. Now, gamma adjust brightness. This is going to depend once again whether you're in HDR. HDR is 2.2. If you're in SDR, you always use 2.4 or BT 1886. I leave mine on 2.4 because I personally can't tell the difference. I believe some people use BT 1886. I will leave a professional link below on how to get the perfect cinematography based settings for color and contrast and so on. A lot of my ideas are taken from that video, so you're still going to get very good clarity. Video range, leave it on auto. Usually it can be limited or full. It depends on the source. I think auto generally seems to be the best here. Leave this off. It's a power saving function. We don't want those on. Color depth. Now, this one is very dependent. Some people leave this on 50, which is the normal balance of color depth. I think this looks terrible and there's no saturation. And when I'm watching movies in SDR, I want it to have a bit of color. So I leave it at around 65 or 69. This will go up when I play video games and I'll explain why. So come out. Don't bother with the tint, that's just going to fuck with things. Color gamut, I would leave it on auto detect because it will detect the best settings for you most of the time. Fine tune, don't bother touching that either, you're going to fuck with shit. White balance, this is very important now. 2 points, point high. Leave everything else underneath, but color temperature will be set at around 0, and this is not anywhere near remotely the colors that game developers or filmmakers use. Filmmakers will always put their temperature down to warm 50. Now, as a personal preference, I like mine at warm 40 or 45 because I think it needs a little bit more of a blue tint. Warm 50 is a bit too yellow for me, and I understand why they do it. That's the way the filmmakers film. Same goes with video games, but I like mine on warm 40 because I think it's just a bit too yellow. So that's it for white balance. That's it for your main color settings. Let's go down to clarity. So clarity, I would recommend turning this all the way down if you want a perfect sharpness for everything that you're watching. If you really care, as a personal preference, I put it up to 5 because I think I like a tiny bit of sharpness. Super resolution, this usually applies to certain blurry images. This feature is not available while using a PC, and I don't think it's available on Xbox either. Put super resolution off, but I personally prefer it on low. I think it helps in some cases. Noise reduction, put it on auto. You can keep it off if you really want. It's supposed to remove irregular and erratic pixels. Some people say don't do this because it could mess things up. I don't care though, I leave it on auto. Auto again. Now this is supposed to create smooth color gradients along the edges of images. I leave mine on high in standard mode, real cinema on, and I personally prefer smooth movement or cinematic movement. This one is entirely up to you. This will give you the 60 FPS effect or a smooth 30 FPS effect instead. You don't have to put this on at all. Personal preference once again. Now you want to press apply to all inputs and said yes. You also want to put filmmaker on. This will mean if any content, so literally it says right there, like for the most part, it's self-explanatory because they have an explanation. If the movie content is made in a specific frame rate, color, aspect ratio, whatever, hopefully, if it's supported, it will just do it automatically and you'll get the best picture settings that the movie maker wanted you to see. Again, apply to all inputs. And if you need a blue light filter, it's also there. So you can have it extremely yellow so it doesn't hurt your eyes. Now, I can't tell you about the sound because I use a sound bar, but what you would do is use the TV speakers there, and you would go here into advanced settings and change your equalizer, put Dolby Atmos on, etc. This is a personal preference thing. So that's everything for SDR. Let's move on. You turned your computer on, all your stuff's downloading, you're having fun, everything looks great, but it doesn't because you haven't set it up yet. If Game Optimizer's there, you can press that. If it's not, go into the settings tab in the corner, general. Yeah, there it is, general, game optimizer. And what you want to do when you're on this source specifically is you want to turn game optimizer on. So go across, turn it on. Now, once it's on, this is where things gets a little bit weird because this is where you can start changing. You'll see that it's in 21:9 now because I set it that way. Don't worry. We're going to go through the settings and we're going to sort this out. So leave everything here. Everything's fine. Input delay, put that on boost because we want the best input delay possible. Make sure all of these toggles are on if they're already on. Fantastic. Fine tune dark areas, don't touch it. It's mainly for games that are very dark and you can't see your opponents and you want to see them no matter what. I think it ruins the whole point of having an OLED though, and it doesn't look very nice because you just ruin the darks. Like I say, don't want that. Menu color, whatever you want, orange, green, violet. I like mine purple. You should know, favorite color. Picture, in the picture quality, very important. Black stabilizer 10, white stabilizer 10. Game contrast around 90, just the same as it was before. Game black level, leave it at 55. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky, because as I said, I love boosted saturation in games. I don't want this at 60. As you can see, the more we bring it down, the less saturation you get. Now I want mine to be boosted. Now I think above 75 is too much, but 75 looks really saturated. And for games like Call of Duty, if you're watching anime even, really anything that quite pops, I think it helps a lot for you to see characters in the map and differentiate the difference between colors. I love this saturation boost. You don't need to do it in driver on your GPU and give it a nasty, horrible fake look. It's quite realistic actually. Dynamic tone mapping, you can put it on HGIG, you can turn it off, but when you've got HDR on, you want it on because you're going to see a big boost. Now we're going to go here. Now this will be on 16:9. If you want it to be letterbox like mine, you set it to 21:9. But you're going to need to change things in your control panel. I'm on AMD now, but on NVIDIA it might have been a bit easier to change round. Advanced picture settings, again, you're just going to go in and change what you can. Make sure that's at 100. Dynamic tone mapping's on. All of this sorted, you know, don't touch anything unless you need to. Warm 40 if it's on high. Fine tune settings, don't touch it. If that's everything and everything's fine and you're happy with the way your TV looks now, once again, you can apply to all inputs. Now, in Windows, there is a few things you're going to want to do. As long as you have a HDMI 2.1 cable connected, it will make things easier. So you want to search for gaming and then go into graphics. In graphics, turn auto HDR on. Now, to get auto HDR, you also want to put accelerated GPU scheduling and variable refresh rate on. To get HDR working, you want to go to System, Display, turn HDR on, go into HDR, and obviously make sure your LG TV is selected. Ensure that everything here is pretty much on, and I wouldn't really adjust it past 50 because Windows is a bit shit HDR in a way that isn't very pleasant. So I think leaving it at around 50, 55 keeps SDR content from looking not bad. Now, if you're doing two monitors, very important, because some people I know that are buying this TV or the latest model version of it, and they want to use a monitor as well. You turn that other monitor on, which we're going to do now, but you'll see the other monitor in the corners here. When we go to display, you press extend displays, not duplicate, not show only, extend displays, and make sure it's on the right side. If this is going to be your main display, display 2, for example, for me, which is the LG one, you want this to be on the right because it's on the right and the Dell screen is on the left. Based on where you adjust it, depends on how the mouse will go across when you apply, to make sure that it's in the correct place like this. Otherwise, your mouse will be all over the place and it'll be all fucked up, and your color profile will be off. You can press identify and it will tell you what the screens are. Yeah, so when you're on it, make this my main display, remember window locations, all that stuff. Make sure all of these are sorted. And I think generally speaking, you'll be just fine. I would also recommend automatically hiding the taskbar. If you're using 21:9 or even 4K, I'd recommend putting the scale to 125. And to get this resolution, you might not get it naturally. And this is, again, very important. So if you're on AMD, you're gonna need to do this. If you're on NVIDIA, it will be different. So there's a settings button here, there's a display button here, and in display you're going to get something called custom resolutions. And you need to make sure you've got display 2, which is DLG, selected. This is going to be needed to create, so you need to do this. You have to do this, and when you save, you'll be fine. Now I don't know why this has happened, because the G pixel clock shouldn't be that high. I think it's just changed itself, but it should set this automatically, and then you'll get your resolution here. You should be able to select it from here, but if you can't, it will definitely be in Windows now. You'll do a similar thing with NVIDIA. It's not that hard, but anyway, all of this helps, and I would try to follow these same principles for Dolby Vision. Sadly, I've realized I can't find any Dolby Vision content right this moment, so I can't really help with that because I'd have to reinstall Battlefield 1 and stuff, but same principles, it works across the board. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. There will be more coming soon, and peace.